that was basically all the Instagram questions, Sean. But what I do want to touch on was, did you hear about Ashling Murphy? I'm sure you have heard.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on all this? What's your take on that? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm a bit ashamed of myself for not understanding the seriousness of girls fearing men. Like little stupid things. Like, I was only saying to the lads before the show started, like, I was saying, like, I cross the road sometimes when there's a group of lads just to avoid any confrontation. However, I'm a man, and they're men. You never see, Martin said a great point as well, you never see a group of girls. You're never going to be intimidated because we're men.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's funny. I only said this to my eldest fella Vincent last night, and he goes, girls are intimidated. He says, you know, he's 2 girls. The eldest is Lucy. He says, I wouldn't allow Lucy out on her own in the evening time, but it shouldn't be like that.
No.
I said, but like you, I said, I've often seen a gang of lads, and I'd cross the road. He said, yeah, but you're a bloke. Girls will do that all the time.
See that
they're living in that type of fear.
But not only.
And I suppose I never had, look, until I had granddaughters, we'd know girls. We'd just boys. And I suppose what happened, look, I suppose it's the best way of saying it really is, and it has caught on. She went for a run.
That's the slogan, yeah.
You know, she went for a run, and look, I hope they get him. And if it is the chap that's in hospital, and he's in hospital for a reason, I hope I'd have. Some people might say, Jesus, let him recover and go through the judicial system.
I don't believe that.
No, you see, if he died up in that hospital,
be too good for him.
I'd have, you know, and
he died too comfortably.
Put him in Mount Joy and let them have at him.
I feel sorry for the staff because he's obviously he's under guard of surveillance, whoever it is. And
but that's if it is
the staff. That's if it is him.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel sorry for the staff that have to
try and save his life.
Yeah, that must be.
Yeah.
Like as you said there, Martin, let him go into Joy. The chances are he might not go to Joy.
Yeah, Arbor Hill or something.
He could go into Arbor Hill with all the other non-sociables.
It's such a problem, and especially like Jay, you put out a post the other day. You were basically saying, like, you know, raise your sons better and all, you know, and I fully agree with that as well. But I also do think at the same time, in some cases, not all cases, but some cases, it's just out of the parents' hands, where some people just have that nastiness in them, you know. And the fact that we're in a day and age where women have to wear headphones with the volume down just so they can be aware of what's around them, or like even have to walk across the road or something like that, intimidation shouldn't exist. You know, it's not fair that, like, I can do that. I can walk past a gang of people and not give a shit with my music fully up. Like that shouldn't. I know. What the fuck world are we living in? Like that this is like this. Like it's such a subject where, like, I'm so angry over it, because I've seen a video of the kids in the school. Obviously, Ashling was a teacher, and all the kids done cards and "we love you" and "we'll miss you" and all. And like, those kids should never have to go to school to do rest in peace messages to their teacher. They're there to learn subjects and to, you know, it's their education. That will stay with them now for the rest of their lives, that their teacher was brutally murdered. And you shouldn't have to learn that in first class. My daughter's in first class. How would I ever be able to explain that to a 6 or 7 year old? I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, that will stay with them. Obviously, it's with the parents as well, but like, so many people are going to be affected in this. And yet, women every single day now are going to have to, like, live in some level of fear, and it's just not right.
Like,
I can't get my head around it, man.
To speak to that level of fear you were saying, Jay, imagine how scared every single woman on this island was Thursday morning. Getting up to go to work in the morning, getting on a bus, going to college, going to the shops, going to the gym, leaving the house on their own is becoming unsafe. And the best we could do as society is tell them to carry a fucking key between their fingers, don't listen to your headphones. like it's just not good enough. Do you know what I mean? You just need to do better as a society. Like the fact that half of us can't walk down the road and listen to music because they're afraid the other half is going to attack them is fucking batshit crazy. Like it's so ingrained into them now. Ask any of the women in your life, they'll all tell you a story where you're walking down the road, you had the keys between their fingers, they had to take one headphone out. All these stupid little tips that we have to give them that will that we just need to do better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and sorry, just one last thing.
Yeah, no, further away, Jay.
And I do think that it has to stop. Like, if you're a man and you're being offended that people are saying it's always men, that needs, like, that's the biggest load of bullshit ever.
That's just gobshite saying that, though.
It's okay, like, in a sense that, like, if you feel a type of way about that statement, okay, if you feel like you're offended by people saying it's always men, it's not fucking you. It's just the fact that it's
always men.
Do you know what I mean? We can't, like, break it down any easier for you. That has to, like, be done with. Except the fact that it is always men that do these things. It's very fucking rare you hear of a woman going and stabbing, like.
Most of the violence that's carried, the major violence that's carried out in this country, and probably the world,
it's men.
Statistically, it's men. Yeah,
it's men.
Yeah,
and like the fear that, like, the guy that they had in originally as a suspect, and I think it came out
wasn't him
on late Friday. Was it Friday night? It came out, or late Thursday night. It came out at 11 o'clock. So people wouldn't have heard that until maybe they're on their way into work. But they'd have got up and went to bed that night, particularly women saying, Jesus, at least they have him.
Yeah.
And then they waking up the next morning, bright and early,
He's still out
and
there.
it's out. He's released, and he is no longer in custody, and he's no longer a suspect. So women are then saying to themselves, Jesus, there's still a murderer out there.
Yeah.
And as well as that, like, it's not just the fact that it happened to Ashling Murphy. Like, you go back to 2019, you had Nadine Lott that we were talking about before, beaten to the point she was unrecognisable.
Yeah.
You had that Mongolian lady coming home from work at 9:30 to FSC, stabbed in the neck, dead. You had Alana Quinn Idris in Ballyfermot 2 weeks ago, eye broken, eye socket broken, teeth broken, can never see again. All she did was get off a bus and was followed, and two fellas hopped on it.
Scumbags.
Got released for €200 bail the next day. Yeah. So, like, they're walking around the community where she lives, where she's trying to rebuild her life, and they're just pottering around, no problem.
Exactly.
And then that happened a week or two before what happened to Ashling Murphy. And you have to look at it like a €200 fine. What's the deterrent? Why would they stop? It's systemic. Like, women are being let down by the structures put in place, the judicial system. If you look at 2021, the guards Drew Harris had to come out and apologise because they dropped 3,000 domestic violence calls. So 3,000 women walked up the courage when their husband was punching the head off them to find a bit of space and get the phone out and rang, and the coppers just hung up on it because they didn't fancy taking the call. Like they're being let down from the top all the way down throughout the history of the island. Look at the mother and baby homes when the churches were involved. They've been second-class citizens from the inception of a Republic of Ireland.
Like, it even goes back to, like, little things. Like, I remember being younger and me dad even saying to me sisters, like, be careful now, let me know. Like, he'd never say that to me.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And that's a period, like, how, like, I really do feel shame that we're only really noticing this now. Why did it
have to take someone's life?
It's awful that it took a barbaric thing like what happened to Ashling Murphy to make people realise that it's not fucking okay. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And look, Jay, on that comment that you said, I really do think that's a strong part of it, you know? Like, we raise our sons better.
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I rang a colleague on Friday. I was telling you because, like, I was reading about this because I seen you posting that we're going to talk about it, so I wanted to just get the woman's perspective. And she made a great point, Suzanne, if you're listening. She said, do you not think people are trying to raise their kids to do the right thing? Like, do you not think every mother sits down with their son and tells them all this stuff? Like, do you not think we're raising our kids? Like, as I said to you, like, I don't understand how them two lads in Balliol, I don't know how their parents are sitting down and having breakfast with them the next morning. Like, do you not think in their heads they tried the best? Something else happened, like, something else corrupted these people into doing something like that.
I think it's also, like, your environment as well. But
it's
look,
a nature and nurture debate.
We're not here to make excuses for
right.
why people do what they do. There is no excuse at the best of times. There's no excuse for taking a life. There's no excuse for punching a woman for getting off a bus, maybe because of our ethnicity or anything like that. You know what I mean? There isn't. You know, some people just have it like are rotten to the core.
Yeah, but
that level of nastiness in them.
It's that saying, like, do you not think we need to raise the kids? Like, we're trying to raise the kids. Something has happened along the line that has taken them away from that nurturing family unit and turned them into a little monster.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Not everybody is nice. Or not everybody is right.
Yeah.
There are people out there that really just don't give a shite, like. And as you said, there's nastiness, there's badness in them.
And like you mentioned earlier, John, cocaine and stuff doesn't help, you know what I mean? These are things that lead to these situations getting worse. Like, how many times have you heard young women say, or even people around the area, lads, he got battered by, or he battered her last night, he was out of his face or whatever, do you know what I mean?
And this is the thing, like, everyone has heard these stories, and it snowballs into situations like what you've heard now, so it's cutting out at the root. Like, stop talking to your mates if they're doing that stuff, let them know it's not right, you know what I mean?
Not name and shame them, but make sure you fucking allow, like, you say to them, it's not fucking okay. Do you know what I mean? It's shame on us if we're not doing that, lads. That's how you make the difference.
And that's it. That's the little difference that we could make. Like I said, it's not every fella. No, we're not doing it. But if you know someone who you think is, then fucking say it to them. Grow a pair.
Call them out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
hold them accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, on that, I think we're done, lads. I think that was a very good episode.